archaeologists stumbled onto something deep beneath the sands of Iraq. Something so strange, so unexpected that even seasoned experts backed away. It's linked to a name almost everyone has heard of, but never expected to encounter in real life. Gilgamesh. And what's buried there has created division, silence, and fear. Even researchers known for challenging mainstream history like Graham Hancock have quietly acknowledged the implications. So, why won't anyone open it? What's keeping this tomb sealed after all these years? The answer might change everything we thought we knew about ancient kings, forbidden knowledge, and what still lies hidden underground. Music, the discovery. In 2003, a German-led archaeological team working near the ancient city of Uruk made a claim that would send waves through the world of historical research. According to team leader Jörg Fassbinder, their ground-penetrating radar had revealed something strange. It looked like a buried structure beneath the desert floor. Fassbinder stated that it resembled a large building complex surrounded by canals, consistent with descriptions from Mesopotamian texts of the legendary resting place of Gilgamesh. This wasn't just any name from history. Gilgamesh is known as the king of Uruk and is the central figure in the Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest known pieces of literature. The epic portrays him as part god, part man, a powerful ruler who goes on a long journey to discover the secret of eternal life. Historians generally agree that a real ruler named Gilgamesh likely lived sometime around 2700 BC. However, for centuries, the line between myth and fact has been blurred. Until recently, no one seriously considered that his actual tomb could exist. The site identified by Fassbinder's team was located in the area of southern Iraq near the Euphrates River, which has historically shifted its course. That's significant because ancient Sumerian writings describe Gilgamesh as being buried beneath or near the Euphrates itself. This detail led many to assume that if the tomb existed, it had long ago been lost under tons of river sediment, making it practically impossible to locate with traditional methods. But the German team was using magnetometers and ground radar. What they found, they said, was a buried structure about the size of a football field. In the scans, there appeared to be large rooms, corridors, and what looked like a central chamber, exactly the kind of architecture one might associate with a royal tomb. The initial findings were passed on to local Iraqi authorities, and because of the ongoing conflict in the region, further digging was paused indefinitely. The claim was never officially followed up on in a published academic report, but that didn't stop speculation. Some insiders say the team was told to leave the site for security reasons. Others say there were informal efforts to revisit the area in later years, but no excavation permit was ever approved. Despite the lack of confirmation, whispers in the archaeological community persisted. Some believed that the structure was real, that it matched the descriptions from the epic poems, and that it might be the final resting place of one of the most legendary kings in recorded history. This site, according to those familiar with the data, remained untouched. No one had dug it up. No one had cracked open a sealed chamber. And yet, the story of what might be inside started to take on a life of its own. For some, it was an exciting historical lead. For others, it was a warning. There were stories, always vague, always secondhand, that the site had a protective energy around it. Some claimed that local guides refused to go near the area. Others said the reason nothing had moved forward wasn't just political or bureaucratic. It was fear. At this point, there was no proof of a tomb. No public images of inscriptions, sarcophagi, or artifacts. But the story had already become bigger than the facts. It was now a tale of a king whose legend had stretched across 4,000 years, and whose tomb, if it truly existed, might still be sealed beneath the Iraqi desert. Whether the structure beneath the sands was really connected to Gilgamesh or not, it had already become one of the most debated and mysterious leads in modern archaeology. And this was only the beginning. The curse. Stories about curses protecting ancient tombs are not new. But in the case of Gilgamesh, what started as casual whispers among locals eventually turned into an online frenzy. What made this particular story different was how quickly it picked up momentum without anyone even confirming the tomb had ever been opened. In Mesopotamian mythology, there are no direct curses tied to tombs like in Egyptian traditions. But the Sumerians, Babylonians, and Assyrians believed heavily in protective magic, especially around death and burial. Ununiform tablets describe ritual spells meant to guard graves against those who would disturb the sleep of the mighty. These weren't necessarily booby traps or poison, but rather incantations invoking divine punishment, disease, and madness. In that context, the idea of a curse linked to a royal tomb like Gilgamesh's isn't completely out of place, even if it's exaggerated. Locals living near the site reportedly told journalists and researchers over the years that something was wrong with the area. One recurring story is that animals refuse to settle near it, dogs howl at night, birds avoid flying over it, and herders say their flocks won't graze there. Another unconfirmed claim involves a small team of workers who tried to set up basic equipment near the site in the mid-2000s and became violently ill within days. While there's no scientific record of this incident, it's one of several that keep resurfacing in private messages between amateur researchers and independent journalists. The language used in these stories is always similar. They were warned, they ignored the signs, or the earth itself rejected them. It mirrors the kind of phrasing used in stories about Egypt's Valley of the Kings in the early 20th century, when people believed the deaths around the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb were linked to a curse. But while there was never any inscription in that tomb warning intruders, many believe that the ancient priests had cursed it with invisible forces. The same logic is now being applied to Gilgamesh. According to one supposed leaked memo shared in online forums, an unnamed official from Iraq's Department of Antiquities recommended that all activity around the possible tomb be halted due to unexplained interference and resistance from locals. The document's authenticity has never been verified, and it contains no signature or date. Still, it fed into the narrative. It was enough for some people to claim that authorities were deliberately avoiding the site, not because of politics or danger, but because they were afraid. Even more sensational are the claims made by online videos. Some of them allege that the tomb contains not only the body of Gilgamesh, but objects of unknown origin, artifacts described as not of this world, or possessing powers beyond explanation. These ideas go well beyond archaeology and into the territory of conspiracy, but they've been repeated enough times that they've become part of the larger story. One theory suggests that disturbing the tomb could break a seal tied to ancient Sumerian deities, releasing chaos or some form of spiritual retaliation. These theories often mention gods like Enlil or Nergal, figures associated with storms, war, and the underworld.